what is profitability? Is it in the room with us right now?
Nintendo, I will literally give you $70 cash money right now for red, blue, yellow, gold, silver. Cash money.
No. No, it's...
My emotions. My emotions.
愚蠢的美国人和约翰
John Cena.
没错，先生，因为这个视频是给美国人看的，我们想说什么就说什么，字幕会换的。
This one doesn't work. And this one doesn't work. But no one is seeing your film on the big screen. But people are seeing movie theaters. They're driving past them every day to go to McDonald's. The Shamrock Shake is back. Yes! Yes! Pre-order now! This is how it feels to watch Disney Plus. And we're back. How we doing, everybody? Welcome back to the Wizards Crash Out. Another Sunday has dawned here, and we're live, and we have a bunch of stuff to talk about. There's a lot of stories happening. I see we've already got a lot of people here watching already. Shout out to all of you. For those of you, this may be your first time here. This is the Wizards Crash Out stream, where basically we just go through the stories of the week or the current events that are happening, and we talk through it in real time. Most of the time that I pull up articles, it's because I haven't actually read them myself. We read them together, and then I get furious about them, and that's exactly what's going to happen. Yes, that is a good way to describe this. This is a Wizards, the fake Wizards square table instead of the round table. That's what we're doing here today. So welcome into this. Welcome into the stream. There's a lot to go through. There's actually some pretty tragic stuff I kind of feel compelled to talk about. This is something that's happening right now, and it's not entertainment, although we do have some entertainment stories. So why don't I'll let you know what those are first. So we are going to be talking about Star Wars a little bit today. There has been a leak about Star Wars and what the upcoming movie, not the Mando movie, but the one after that. We have almost a plot leak, and it's from a reputable source, and it's pretty serious. So we're going to talk that. We're also going to talk about EA, and that's going to be the big topic today. We're going to go through an article from PC Gamer talking about how EA is reportedly about to be sold to a Saudi Arabian group for quite a bit of money. That is a huge story. I have opinions on it. We're going to go through it together. That's a big one. We're also going to talk about Peacemaker and Fortnite. This is a story that I woke up to and found this morning. It's kind of fascinating. There was revelations with the Peacemaker show about who the bad guys are this season. And there is a dance in Fortnite it appears it has reference to these previous villains of the human race. We'll get into that in a little bit, but I do feel compelled to talk about something that's happening. It's literally going on right now. We still do not have all the information on it, and again, this isn't entertainment, but we have another. No, get out of the way. That's the wrong thing. Put this up on screen. Apparently, we've got another shooting happening right now in Michigan, Grand Blanc, Michigan, at a church. So there was an event that took place at a church just a little while ago. We don't have any of the information. We don't really know anything yet. This is happening all in real time. But especially after the video that I did yesterday, and for those of you who haven't seen it yet, please watch that video. I posted a video yesterday called "Video Games and Political Violence." They YouTube nuked that video from orbit. That video is dead. That video was watched by a lot of you guys. I'm assuming you guys have seen it. All of you that are watching now. It's an extremely important video, and YouTube nuked that thing and took it right out of the algorithm. I have just by looking at the analytics, that video should have done really well. And I don't really care about it from the capacity of like, oh well, I need the videos to do well. It's more like, no, that is so important. That one is actually really important. I did a lot of research into that one, trying to make sure that I said everything just particularly in a particular way. And that video is very relevant to now because it relates to this. Like, I take this stuff so seriously, and this is the stuff that I'm afraid of. You know what we're seeing here, and it's sad because there's a lot of people that watch my content or watch all of our content, and they're like, oh well, you know, shut up and dribble, or shut up and dance, monkey, and just talk about video games, or just talk about entertainment. It's like, okay, but the lines are being blurred now. Like, things are crossing over here, and we're moving into a really dark territory, you know. And it's important to me, and I think it's important to talk about, because a lot of the times stuff like this happens. It happens to relate back to young people, and it happens to relate back to the youth in the West, and that's not good. So yeah, this is a really unfortunate way to be kicking off the stream here, but I do think, and if there's updates while we're on air here, like while we're streaming, I'd be happy to pull that all up. But it's looking pretty rough right now here in America. Yeah, I feel like this is a dark day, another dark day in a series of dark clouds that are over America right now. And I don't know what the solution to that is, other than to keep talking about it. Because unfortunately, we've got the same, you know what, and the reason, like, why it hits me so hard, it's the same people that twist the narratives around entertainment to fit the narrative that they want it to fit, are the same people who will twist situations like this to cater to a narrative that they want to fit. Like, it's the same bad guys. The same bad guys. That's the thing. You know, the same people that are trying to destroy, as I talk about it in all of my content, storytelling, right? I think that there is an actual war on storytelling and what heroism means, and what heroism stands for. You know, I think there is actually a battle for that. And it goes back to the stories that used to move people, are being hijacked. They're being taken away. They're being torn apart. And I think that's a pretty bad thing. And I think that's terrible. And then you fast forward, and we get situations like this. And that's concerning. It's concerning. I see it branching through multiple streams here. It's not even a political thing. It's just a human being thing. Hey, it says in the title of my channel, real life. And believe me, if you're here to watch this stream, then you know that we talk about some real life stuff here on this channel. But yeah, this is pretty rough. We're gonna see if something else comes out. We'll get into that a little bit later. But yeah, let's get into the big one, I think, because I'm not really ready to rant about Star Wars yet. I got to get myself up to that point. But let's go ahead and take a look at this article here. PC Gamer, everybody. PC Gamer is, we're going to read the PC Gamer version of this. So EA is reportedly about to be sold in a record-setting $50 billion buyout to an investor group that includes private equity and Saudi Arabia. All right. Before we get into this, I want to stress a few things. So EA, the company EA, the video game company that you guys mostly know about, you know, if you're gamers, you know what EA is. This is the company that's responsible for all of the sports games, right? EA Sports. They're responsible for a number of mobile games. EA is very big in the mobile game market. EA also owns BioWare. And so EA was responsible for Dragon Age Veilguard and Mass Effect and Anthem, right? This is the gaming, the like actual gaming stuff, right? The only reason why a company would be taken private, or I shouldn't say the only reason, but the reason why it happens the most, right? The reason why a company that is this big would be taken private is because the leadership at EA or the new acquirers, right, want to make changes to the company that could resort in negative profitability. So what does that mean? Mega corporations like EA, these big ass companies, need to constantly report profits because they have to report back to their shareholders, and their shareholders want to see maximum profits always, all the time, and forever, right? So a lot of these corporations, even the ones that we rip on, unfortunately, and not as an excuse, this isn't an excuse at all. This is just to explain the position that they're coming from. They really can't experiment with things that could result in negative profitability. This is a reason why corporations usually play things so safe. Like, for instance, let's talk about this. Pokemon. Pokemon takes no risks. Pokemon takes zero risks. Okay? All of their games, their mainline games, are as safe as can be. They only ever do a little bit different because they're not going to risk changing everything about uh, uh, the buyer customer base that they know that they've got locked in. They're not going to risk offending anybody by changing anything. Okay, because they need to constantly be reporting profits. So they're less to expect. They're slower to experiment and quicker to outsource. See, Pokemon, and we look at Nintendo, Pokemon doesn't do a lot of those spin-off app games in-house. They outsource those things to other companies, right? Well, EA does the same thing. Yeah, they do a lot of the same things. But to jump in over here, the only reason that I could see them trying to take EA private is if they're trying to make radical company-wide changes that will take years to implement, but will result in profits down the road. Okay. And this is, we're just speculating now. We're going to read this, but I want to get some thoughts out first because I'm thinking through it in real time. This one bugs me. This story really bugs me, and I want to make a video on it after I have all of my thoughts really ironed out. What I don't understand why, and hopefully this article clears it up. So this is just a precursor to what we're going to read. I don't understand why Saudi Arabia or whoever the buyers are would want to take it private. Like, what do they want to change? What are they trying to overcome or radically alter? EA routinely makes a shitload of money. EA is a very successful company. Every year they have guaranteed income with the sports games. Okay. EA does the sports games every single year. We get it's the same game. It's slightly different every year with maybe some different theming, but all of those sports games, guaranteed returns. And look at FIFA. FIFA makes a fortune on its microtransactions. So with that level of I can't see them wanting to change that when it's guaranteed profitability in those areas. You look at the mobile games that EA has, and there's a lot of guaranteed profitability on some of those games. What makes me concerned here is for someone like me who has played Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, right? You guys remember Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes? That's a mobile game. That's player base has like radically declined. If we look at a game like that, and it's extremely microtransaction heavy now. I mean, it always has been, but like free to play is impossible on a game like that, and free to play is impossible on a lot of games on the mobile market now. There is no, like, they don't care about bringing people in that are going to be free players anymore. It's all drop your credit card and start whaling out. They don't even want whales anymore. They want krakens spending money on these mobile games. So to that, I don't understand why they need to take the company private when all of that's working. You look at something like Dragon Age Veilguard, right? And we know that it costs around $200 million to make that game, if not more, probably more. Took a lot of years to make it. It was a big bomb. It was a complete failure. But does that one game, like, that's just a speculation, right? Does that one game quantify needing to take the company private to scrape out all of the rot inside of this company? I mean, we as gamers could dream, right? We could dream about something like that. But at the same time, I don't think that makes for a good story at a pub. That doesn't make for a realistic business, decision. Okay. So let's get into this, but that's where I'm coming from going into this. Clearly they want to make changes. And those changes are reliant on being able to not report profitability back to shareholders so that the stock price doesn't tank. So they're trying to keep this company, they're taking it private so that they can keep the value of it very high while they make internal changes and then probably take it public again. But let's go ahead and see, what does EA think of this? What does PC Gamer think of this, rather? Okay. I'm going to zoom this in a little bit. Perfect. Okay. As reported by the Wall Street Journal, gaming giant EA is set to go private, that is, no longer be traded on the stock market, in a $50 billion deal with an investor group. This would be the largest such leveraged buyout ever recorded. Yeah, actually, that's pretty interesting. That's actually like massive news. I forgot to even mention that. This would be the largest company acquisition in history. $50 billion is massive. Like, that's huge. I wouldn't even have thought EA was worth that much, but that's from an uneducated point where I haven't looked at the stock valuation in a long time, right? So I don't even know what EA would have been worth. I wouldn't have guessed it would have been $50 billion. That's huge. Which also brings up the fact that, okay, wait a second. Yeah, so this is a good point. Yeah, Activision Blizzard was 70 billion, but it wasn't taken private. It was acquired by another company. It was acquired by another corporation. So technically, still public. This would be the largest private acquisition. Okay, according to let me go widescreen again. According to the Wall Street Journal's anonymous sources. Oh, great. All right, so now I don't buy it. I'm sorry. No, that's right there. If you watch my last video, I'm like, oh, the anonymous sources. Great. So this is a trust me, bro. This whole story just became trust me, bro. Come on, man. I fucking hate the media. EA could be sold for as much as $50 billion, though the final price has not yet been agreed on. And EA has an estimated market value of $43 billion. The group of investors reportedly includes the private equity firm Silver Lake and the government of Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund. The deal could be announced as early as next week and would be the largest leveraged buyout ever recorded. A leveraged buyout, see, here we go. This is what we were just talking about. So this is a leveraged buyout is when a private equity firm uses a significant amount of borrowed money to seal the deal with the asset to be acquired used as collateral in the debt. All right, so there's a little bit more information there as to what this actually is, but clearly it's huge. This is a big deal. It was revealed to me in a dream, Wizard. Oh, man. That's insane. This effectively leaves the acquired company liable for the debt. If its income can't adequately service the debt, it will bear the consequences of a default, not the investors who made the purchase. And that usually means closures and layoffs. As reported by the Los Angeles Times, one such leveraged buyout eventually resulted in bankruptcy and closure for the once ubiquitous toy retailer, Toys R Us. Hey, for all my Americans here in the chat, do you know Toys R Us is like trying to make a comeback? Also, it never really closed in Canada. Toys R Us is still open in Canada. I worked for Toys R Us when I was in college. It was I worked for Toys R Us when I was in college for like a very limited time. I actually enjoyed it quite a bit because I got to work in the game section, which that was my thing. I knew it all at that time. And I ended up quitting. We got robbed at knife point. And what was terrible was like the guys that were robbing us. I knew the guy. It was three dudes who like came in with knives and robbed us at knife point. But I was joking around with him because I knew one of the guys. Like, I knew the dude's brother. Like, I went to school with his brother. I hung out with his brother all the time. And I was like, dude, I know you. Like, I know, I hang out with your brother. Why are you pointing the knife at me, bud? But it was because I was working for a company. They were trying to clear the registers. Wild stuff. That was a good time. The fact that the reported cost of the deal up to 50 billion is close to EA's estimated value. What's 7 billion between friends could give reason for optimism that EA's debt burden would be proportional to its means. Even aside from eventual bankruptcy, though, there's a precedent for acquisitions like this causing mass disruptions in the company. This is where we get the spiciness. Microsoft cut 1,900 jobs at Xbox in January 2024, shortly after its acquisition of Activision Blizzard, and Blizzard Entertainment was heavily affected in particular. Yeah, let's discuss that a little bit. What's going to happen when EA is acquired by these private equity funds, by these private equity companies? You're going to see a dramatic shift in that company's culture. Dramatic. Okay. They are going to be firing people like crazy. And what's also interesting is that I have a feeling like this has been in the pipeline for some time. If I'm not mistaken, and now I need to look this up myself. See, if I had a producer, I would have my producer, hey, Jamie, pull that up, or find this. If I'm not mistaken, some time ago, we got news that EA was like canceling games. This was after Veilguard. I believe that it was announced around that time that EA was tying up loose ends and canceling a series of projects. And my thought on that is that it must have been because they were getting ready or at least preparing to start showing their books to possible investors. Like, that's my hypothesis there. Or at least that's what I would think. That's pretty interesting. But we look at this and you got to think, you look at, let's just look at Veilguard, right? Dragon Age Veilguard was extremely heavy-handed with ideology. They admit it. They had woke ideology baked into the game. They are upfront about that. The people who worked on it were upfront about that. There was a specific political, cultural ideology built into that game. All of those people and anybody that participates in that kind of rhetoric is likely going to get purged from this company after it's acquired by the Saudi Arabian private equity fund. Okay, it's a very good chance of that. So you got to think all of the games that are here and the upcoming Star Wars Jedi Survivor 3, right? Like, that's going to be affected by this. I said before, Star Wars Galaxy Heroes, that's going to be affected by this. There's going to be a trickle effect where it's going to just go across the entire company of people getting people getting impacted. So, all right, let's continue here. I'm going to go full screen. The other known quantity is the purported deal. The Saudi Arabian Public Investment Fund has been making inroads in games for several years as part of a multifaceted. But all right, this is interesting. Now, I wanted to know about this because I didn't know about this. For several years as part of a multifaceted push into global media and entertainment. All right, this is very interesting. Sports. Saudi Pro League football, LIV golf, and the Professional Fighters League. Entertainment, investment in Hollywood films, ownership stakes in gaming companies like Nintendo and Capcom. That's interesting. I didn't know that. Including a 10% stake in EA prior to this deal. All right, well, this is a big topic now. This is a big discussion now because there is Saudi Arabia 10-centing right here? Are they pulling a 10-cent? Are all of our video game companies going to just be acquired by Son of a bitch, man. Like, see, that's where I come at this now. It's like, wait a second. The Western companies that have been juggernauts in video gaming have they played such a foul hand at business that now they're just going to be acquired by American competitors? You know what I mean? Like, because that's where this is at now. Like, Hollywood is so shit on its own. Like, it's taking money from all these other countries, right? Okay, well, that's one thing. Then you look at video gaming. It's like China is buying up all of these companies because they're on sale. Saudi Arabia is getting ready to acquire EA, Electronic Arts. Like, EA, it's in the game. Like, I didn't even say that right. I think it's EA Sports. It's in the game. Like, that's how it is. So all of our favorite properties are just going to be swallowed up by these giant investment firms. That's all it's going to be, which further plays into what I've been talking about in other videos and on other live streams. My fear is that, people keep talking about, oh, we're going to have this video game bubble burst, right? The video game crash is coming. The whole video game industry is going to come toppling down, and then everything's going to get better. No, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. Not at all. It's not going to get better for buyers. It's going to get worse for buyers, because you got to think about it this way. If there is a contraction on the market of the availability of investment in the market, if things aren't valued as much, but people know it's still billions and billions of dollars sized industry, right? You're going to see the biggest companies eat up everything. So there's not going to be any more startup companies. There's not, and if there are, there are going to be very seldom startups for long, because they're just going to get eaten and swallowed up by Microsoft, Activision, or Tencent, or Saudi Arabia. So the entire market is just going to be the biggest companies. I may rip on Ubisoft all the time, but I don't. I guess, and I would have preferred a world where Ubisoft continued to exist. Okay, even though I rip on Ubisoft all the time, and I think they're a terrible business, and they deserve failure. Like, Ubisoft deserves to lose. But when we think about it, would you rather have Ubisoft out there being able to make games maybe on their own, as they did during the PlayStation 2 days and the PlayStation 3 days? Or do you want it now where it's just the investment bankers calling all the shots? Because that's where it's at. Right. That's it right here. Bad competition was still competition. And now it's not, there isn't going to be any competition. If you think gaming is bad now, prepare for it to be worse. That's that's the end result of this, is like, things will be worse. So, all right, let's continue back into this. So sports entertainment. Saudi Arabia made a $1 billion deal in 2018 to host major WWE events in the kingdom, and the promotion recently announced that WrestleMania 43 will be held in Riyadh. Sorry, I'm a stupid American. I don't know how to speak other languages or pronounce names well. I'm not good with names. I could read. I'm just not good with names. Critics of the Saudi Arabian government have called this practice sports washing, or using a growing influence of and ubiquity in the entertainment industries to distract from the government's human rights record. Interesting. I mean, that is something worth. It's Riyadh. Okay, Riyadh. There you go. You read good. Thank you. Yeah, I try to read good. I'm god awful at names. Yeah, this is interesting right here. Critics of the Saudi Arabian government have called this practice sports washing, or using a growing influence in the entertainment industries to distract from government's human rights record. Now, so I was thinking about that when I first came across this story. What does that what does that mean? And I've already said, if the Saudi Arabian firm acquires this company, well, then what that's going to mean is, well, all of the American woke politics will be torn out, right? It's going to be completely torn away, because that is the and some of that is the antithesis to, woke politics, to a lot of leftist ideology. There's a lot of that stuff's going to get torn right the hell out. Okay, all those people are going to be fired. But then it does tie into, is that a bad thing? Because it's being replaced with another. It has the potential to be replaced with another type of ideology, and is that any better? Does that make sense? It's more or less a question of, do you replace one thing with the next, and what does that mean, and what does that do, and could that be dangerous? Could that be bad? Is that even a possibility? We don't know. Unfortunately, and I really should just stress it this way, this entire story is speculative. And that kind of pisses me off, because this is a really big deal. This is like a really big deal. But for them to be like, for the article, the writers of these articles, for them to all be saying like, oh, well, this is all just my sources on the inside of let me know. It's like, yeah, okay, so it's trust me, bro. That's all it is. It's just a big case of trust me, bro, which then means there's no real way to get excited or prepared. Not excited. There's no way to get prepared for something like that. Not that any of us would, but it's something to kind of process the idea of. Dragon Age Veilguard was, this is here. Let's get into it. Let's really get into this here. Dragon Age Veilguard was called a non-binary, right? It was called a non-binary game. People didn't buy it. Like, that's the phrase that is thrown around when it comes to these games that are politically oriented and then frowned upon, right? When you look at something else, you look at something like China and all these Chinese-made games. You look at something like Mecha Break. We did this here months ago when that game came out, right? We look at something like Mecha Break, which was an online mech game, okay, with an online chat. And if you go in the comments and you type specific keywords, you couldn't say specific phrases because that game is censored by China. Okay. I caught a tremendous amount of shit for talking about that. And I don't know if I was saying anything really bad, but I'm an American. My education system taught me that Taiwan is still a country. It's still its own country. But in China, you're not allowed to say that. And I got a lot of heat from Chinese people telling me I'm an idiot for saying that Taiwan is still a country. Well, America still recognizes Taiwan as a sovereign country. You can't talk about this in video games. So that furthers this point. All of the games that we buy, Marvel, oh geez, what's it called? What's the big Marvel game? I feel so stupid. I know it. I've played it. Marvel Rivals? Yeah, God. I feel so dumb sometimes. It's just, when you could see it and then the name pops out. Marvel Rivals is censored. It's a Chinese product. It's made by NetEase, which is a Chinese company controlled by the CCP. There's an ethical question to participating in these games, right? That are censored by the Chinese government. Well, now what's going to happen when EA is censored by the Saudi Arabian government? Does that make sense? Am I making sense there? Because that's what's going to happen. Last night I was on Saturday Night Hypnosis and we were talking about the Wolverine game the upcoming Wolverine Insomniac game. Now, for those of you who saw me stream talking about it, I have a lot of problems with it. But my problems stem from the betrayal that I felt with Spider-Man 2. And you look at this Wolverine game, and we criticize the hell out of it, rightfully, as we can. And the company responds with memeing on critics. So that actually happened. Insomniac put out a meme mocking people like myself, criticizing the Wolverine trailer and the Wolverine game. I'm happy about that. I think that's okay. It's stupid, but I like the fact that the company can do that. There's a freedom of commerce. There's the freedom of expression in a way for them to mouth off like that. I kind of like that. I can trust that they don't like me. You know what I mean? Like I can make a decision based on that relationship that we have. There's a little bit of animosity there, and I can decide not to buy the game because they're upfront about their beliefs. They're sincere. There's a sincerity there. But you look at something like Marvel Rivals, and you look at something like Mecha Break, and you look at something like all the other Chinese games that are coming out, and there is censorship in place. And we look at all the other games coming out, and there's a lot of clearly problems. What I'm trying to say is I don't want the government to have a say on video games like it does. I don't want any government to have that kind of say. I don't want any kind of government control at all. We see a lot of problems happening right in the modern day right now. The last thing I would want is the American government to have any extra control on things, because I think they screw everything up. So now we look at entertainment, which I believe is already under attack anyway, but it's not even from a leftist versus right, politicization. I just think people are trying to diminish the value of storytelling. That's my problem. The last thing I would want is then the government to have any kind of control in the media that we all get to consume. That's my overall point. And I think this is a story certainly to follow. We talked about this EA thing. It's a story that's definitely going to be ongoing for a while. And as soon as we know, I'll do a better job of putting all my thoughts together and put out a proper video soon. Did I just totally screw that up? Yeah, I did. I knocked my camera around. I mean, this is a great way to summarize this. Asking the government for anything is like making a deal with the devil. That is 1000% correct. Any kind of additional government intervention is going to be a problem. So, all right, that's going to tie this one up. That's, like I said, as soon as we get more information, we'll get into it a little bit more. But for the meantime, we got some supers I want to read through that came in before I even got into that. I got to get better at doing the super transitions. You know what? Let's do that. We got to transition. All right, coming to us from Sinowflake for a $1.99. For the beard replacement fund. Well, thank you for that. It's pretty interesting. Yeah, the beard here has it is just frilling away. It is like these little, the elastic is so shot. This is the beard that I've had since day one. I've been using this beard for a long time now. It is completely gone. This is the one that I use at events. This is the beard, and I do my best to keep it clean. I do keep it clean, but I keep all of my stuff super organized as best as I can. But it is, the elastic here is shot. So we were joking about it on SNH last night that we need a beard replacement fund, which I think is fun because I like how frilled it is. I like how fake it looks. It looks extremely fake. The longer it goes on, it looks fake. But yeah, I think, guys, we are coming to a time where I will need to replace the beard soon. Thankfully they're not much, but I will have to eventually replace it because this is tied. I had to actually tie it because the elastic is so destroyed. I had to tie it to get it back on. Thank you, Sinowflake. Peace with War for a 30 says, just recently found your channel and am enjoying your content. Well, Peace with War, thank you for that, and thank you for the very generous super chat here. Yeah, it seems we've picked up a lot of new people recently. We just hit 50,000 subscribers last Saturday, which was incredible. And we have been finally, YouTube seems to be branching out the videos into people that may not have seen us before, which is great. We're picking up some new faces. So I'm happy you're here. I hope you enjoy what I have to say. There's a great chance you're not going to agree with me on everything, but that's because I don't agree with myself on everything. there is that too. But thank you for that. Fallen Order for a 1999 Wizard. My birthday is Tuesday and want to celebrate by thanking you for all you do. Also, could you check out the trailer for Forgive Me Father 2? Well, happy birthday, Fallen Order, man. Dude, that's funny. Your birthday's on the 30th. Mine's on the 2nd. So, no, happy birthday to you, man. I love that. I'm going to try to stream on Thursday the 2nd, just like for my birthday. I'm gonna do a live stream at some point. Maybe play some old games, some like retro games. We're gonna do that. I see there's a lot of comments here. We're gonna get back to that in a second, but I do want to pull that up. What was that? Forgive Me Father 2. Let me pull it up. Make sure I'm able to share it. All right. I don't want to be sharing no Gooner games. Okay. Father. Forgive Me Father 2 launch trailer. All right. Well, already this looks interesting. Let me turn that up. I am on StreamYard, so the video quality may not be that great, but let's go ahead. Share screen. Share audio. This rocks, man. Yo, man. I hope that came through, you guys. That slapped. I hope you were able to see that. That was awesome. Wow. That was like, this is what's the release date? The trailer just popped up a couple days ago. Is it out now? Forgive Me Father 2, add to cart, $29.99. Is this just available? Oh shit, the release date was on the 23rd. Oh hell, I'm buying it. Yeah, I'm gonna get this. That looks awesome. Fallen Order, great game. Good shout out of game. I gotta look into this a little bit more. I'm probably gonna get this. If it's out already, it seems like it's done by who is this? Fulcrum Publishing. Let's see, who's Fulcrum Publishing? All right, this is the Fulcrum Publishing website we're seeing here. Disagree. I don't want your cookies. Tell me, who's the company? Fulcrum Publishing is a global gaming publisher with a diverse portfolio of titles that includes in-house. Yeah. Okay, gotcha. Where is they located? Cyprus. Interesting. Czech Republic. Wow. Can I point out here that having started the fake portal project, which I'm going to talk about before we get to our next subject, there are games coming from all over the world that are destroying American games. Seriously. There are video games being made by small development teams all over the world that we don't even know exist. Like, we don't know anything about them. And they are awesome. Like, these games are incredible, and they're made by these tiny little teams in other countries. Holy crap, America. What are you doing? AAA industry, you suck. You guys suck. You made it all about just the money, 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 money. When you got these actual, like what we just showed here, that trailer slapped. Great suggestion, man. Good stuff. Thank you. And happy birthday, brother. Coming in here, Hypnotic is in the chat, says reminds me of The Darkness. Yes. Yes, does look very reminiscent of The Darkness. Real life fake wizard streaming Disney games. Probably not. I don't think so. I don't think I'm going to be streaming Disney games. Yo, Fake Wizard, been loving the content. Nice to see you live. I listened to the violence and political video you put out. So real. I appreciate that. I'm glad you saw it. Not a lot of people saw that one. That one got hit pretty hard by the YouTube algorithm. Has anyone else noticed YouTube is suddenly pushing a lot of Star Wars related content? Coincidence? Doubtful. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe that's a possibility. We're going to talk about Star Wars. That's our next topic. That is our next topic today. But all right, before we do that, before we continue that, I want to show you guys something. Because every week we talk about Fake Portal a little bit more, right? And everything that's going on with the Fake Portal project. This is kind of fun. This is exciting. So right now, I want to talk about this. So since the last time I've streamed, or really since last week, since last Sunday, we have been getting like attacked on Fake Portal. I've talked about this before. We're still getting attacked right now. So what we've decided is what our strategy is going to be, because we're paying a lot of money for defenses now. We've had to like increase our budget on paying for defenses on some of the things we're being attacked about. Our main focus is to just get up to 500 games listed on Fake Portal, and then we're just going to start adding new things from there. So in the past, I've thought about I've thought about doing things. You know, we're working on community features. We're working on engagement features that makes things more interactive on Fake Portal, and those things will come. They will be added. Right now, because we keep dealing with real smart assholes that know what they're doing, and they keep hitting us hard. Our goal right now is to just get this thing up to 500 games. And I'm happy to report that by this upcoming Tuesday, which is important, and I'll explain why in a second, we will have over 200 games. Right now, we are sitting happily at 159 games. This would not be possible without you guys. We actually need your help to do this. So what we need you to do is go on fakeportal.com, and up here on the top, you're going to see where it says submit new games. All right. This should be coming through. Should be seeing it on screen here. Submit new games. And when you click on this, you're going to see this little form pop up, right? That's got a whole bunch of options. And let us know what games you want to see more of. All right. You let us know what games you want to see, and we will do our best to add them. All right. That is important. We want to hear from you. We want to showcase the games that you already know exist and that you already play. So that's going to be really good. We've actually got a lot that are still being added from that form right there that you guys have added just from last week. Like, holy crap, the responses we've been getting are awesome. We've got over 1,000 games to be added. Our goal right now is to just get this thing up to 500, right? And then we're going to be adding a lot of new features and really rolling things out. Now, let's talk about this. Starting this Tuesday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern time, we're going to be starting to do Fake Portal gaming streams. And so that means every week on Tuesday afternoons, Tuesday early evenings, we're going to start streaming video games that are featured on Fake Portal, playing them for the first time together in real time, where you're going to get my first inputs on these games. Now, I should also point out, I'm a gamer. I play a lot of games. I suck. Like, I play a lot of games, but that doesn't mean I'm good at them. And so you're going to get to see in real time. We're going to play these games. Sometimes in the future, the developers are going to join us. We're going to play with developers. That's exciting. That'll be like probably way later on once we get this thing going. But on Tuesdays here, we're going to start playing these games. And then the videos will be available after on the Fake Portal YouTube channel, which we'll be linking down in the description sometime after this stream is done. So Robert Fairbanks says you can't be worse than DSP. No, I'm definitely better than DSP, but I rage better than DSP. I think my rage is pretty funny. I could be very funny with my rage stuff. So that's pretty good. When in the PS2 days, I would break controllers like they were well, I did it a few times. I didn't do it that many times, but I did do it a few times. And it was worth it. Okay? It was worth it. So, yes, so that's the Fake Portal news. Please come on over, submit some games, and let's get that thing going. All right. Okay, let's jump into the next topic. Now, what we're about to show now, what we're going to go through is it's a Star Wars story. We're going to talk about a Star Wars story. Now, last week on stream, we discussed the Mandalorian and Grogu. Well, we said that trailer was terrible, but yesterday we got a leak from inside of Lucasfilm about the upcoming Jedi Starfighter movie. Now, this Starfighter movie is coming out December 2026, featuring Ryan Gosling. And now we know what the plot of that movie is going to be. Whereas previously we were told that this was going to be kind of a launching point to try and get Star Wars back, like to try to get it back in the eyes of fans again. Like it was supposed to be a launching point to get us back on track. We now know that all it's going to be is a setup for more Rey bullshit. So the tab that you are now seeing here, this is a tweet that's coming from Josh over at Den of Nerds, who's a very reliable source, I would say, about some of these things. Let me just read the tweet underneath it. Actually, you know what? Let me shrink this so it looks better here. Remember, I'm the most professional streamer, everybody. I'm the most professional streamer. No one holds a candle to me. So, all right. So the tweet underneath says, the movie Starfighter has a plot where Ryan Gosling protects the, quote, son of a female Jedi. Amy Adams plays the female Jedi, and Flynn Gray plays her son, a Force-sensitive, who's a kid. Ryan's character is not Force-sensitive, but rushes around to protect the son from the villain. So it's another Mandalorian and Grogu, but now with Ryan Gosling and some Jedi kid. That's what it's going to be. Gets worse. Now, if we read what Josh says here, okay, this is true, and they are on a mission from Amy Adams to take the kid to Rey. That's right, Star Wars fans. The cool Starfighter movie is about taking the Force-sensitive kid to Rey Skywalker. I effing hate it here. Okay, so let's back up. Now, what do we know here? What do we know? We know that Star Wars is bleeding out. It's a dead franchise. We know that they've been working on doing this Charmin Obeyed Chinoy Rey film. That was one of the first videos on my channel, and that was a long time ago. I was talking about that. I was talking about that Rey movie and how it's not going to work and what they should do to make things better. Like I did a whole video on that a long time ago. And it hasn't gotten off the ground. They're having nothing but trouble getting this thing going. Mandalorian and Grogu, no one cares about. Here, let's pull up Mandalorian and Grogu trailer. Let's look at it from the official Star Wars. Son of a gun. This is bad. I mean, the trailer's bad, but also take a look at this. This should be coming through. Let me go full screen here. What do we notice down here? 8.9 million views, 43,000 dislikes. This is the first Star Wars film in 6 years, and it can't even pull 10 million views. You know, it can't even get the 10 million views. That's pretty bad. That's pretty rough. And mind you, this is now 6 days later. Is that what this says? Yeah, 6 days later. So it's not, oh yeah, #1 movie trending. But that's because there have been no other announcements in movies right now. So this is the only trailer because it's not competing with anything else. It's not competing with any other trailers for movies right now, let alone Star Wars. So we know that this Mandalorian and Grogu film is in trouble. We know that the Ahsoka show is going to have diminishing returns and ratings. It's nobody's interested in it. That show sucked. That show was like the final straw for me as being a fan. But then the Acolyte was so offensive that I started making this. Like I made this channel because of the Acolyte. Like I'm literally Frankenstein's monster as far as content creation because of Star Wars because I hate it so much. So, yeah, the Starfighter movie with Ryan Gosling, which was supposed to be this getting us back on track into the excitement of Star Wars, turns out to be the precursor to the next Rey trilogy. That's what it's going to be. So, Josh from Den of Nerds here did a live stream yesterday. I watched the live stream where he discussed his leaked information from Disney and his sources, and he's been pretty reputable in the past. And yeah, all roads lead back to Rey Palpatine. That's where it's all going to go. It's all going to go back to Rey, and they're going to do another trilogy. I don't know how. I don't know what else is there to even do. A couple weeks ago, I was in Orlando, Florida. I talked about this last week, and I went to Epic Universe in Universal. But the day we got there, we went to Disney Springs, which was originally downtown Disney, right? And we just, it's not Disney World. You're not paying to go in. It's you go in there and there's all the restaurants that are down there. But we walked through, they got the Christmas shop there and they got all the other shops and stuff there. Now, a few years ago, there used to be 2 major Star Wars stores at Disney Springs. 2. One of them was massive. That's been closed. The building there's nothing in the building. Like in Disney Springs, which is like the shopping mall for Disney World down there, Disney property. What they have, what used to be a Star Wars store is now an empty building. And it turns out it has been since like Christmas or at least one of the major holidays. Okay. For me, I'm not even shopping. I'm just interested in it because we talk about all this stuff here. So that means to me, Disney is making more money on an empty building than by having Star Wars stuff be sold in there. What the hell? So now they've reduced it down to one tiny Star Wars shop. So it's one tiny little Star Wars shop now. That's just insane. But if you go into these stores, if you go into all these Disney stores and they do have Star Wars merchandise, do you know what you find? Sequel trilogy shit. They are still pushing. They're still selling sequel trilogy shit. And worse than that, they're also trying to sell through like really expensive lightsabers, like from obscure comic books that no one has read, and they're selling those for hundreds of dollars, which is insane. Like, who's buying this? I can't believe how much this brand has just been absolutely destroyed. Like, I just can't believe it, It's crazy. So, we look at this leak. Let me pull it back up. Or what'd I do with it? I totally screwed it up. Where's my image? Most professional streamer, everybody. Share this tab instead. Yes. So as we pull up this is a pretty big leak. It's a pretty, and I messed it up. This is a pretty big deal. There's a pretty big announcement because this Starfighter film was supposed to be the launching point to get Star Wars back on track. Turns out all it's going to be is a setup, a reintroduction to Rey Palpatine. Good job, Star Wars. You continue to be nothing but disappointing. Yay. Yeah, that's our Star Wars news, man. That Starfighter show. That's the Starfighter movie. That's fucking cooked. That's dead. That's DOA now, man. There is not a chance in hell anyone's going to go see that once they all know that it's a setup where Rey Skywalker, Rey Palpatine shows up at the very end. I can't believe it. That's embarrassing. That is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Hey, here's a comment that came in before I want to talk through from random Billy Bob with a clippy. What are your thoughts on Doug Bowser's retirement? So, this is a great question. And I already started scripting a video on this. I don't know if I'm ever going to finish it because it requires a lot more research. When it comes to corporate business in at least America, and I know that it's like this in Japan as well. Executives. Okay, well, I think what's the best way to describe this? I'm just trying to find the right words. In America, or really anybody, like when you're looking for a job and you wanna, like, let's say you're in a job. Let's hypothetical. We'll role play this. You are working in a job. You got the 9 to 5. You bust your butt. You work really hard, but you decide like, hey, I could be making more money elsewhere. I'm gonna like look for a job somewhere else, and I'm gonna start applying, and I'll go to another job. It's employment hopping, right? That's the term. That's the type of term, or one of the many terms to explain that. Hopping is the word. You're hopping from one job to the next, right? Well, here's the thing, though, right? When you're hopping in the workforce, when you're hopping from job to job as a regular person, you still need to know about the company you're hopping into. Like, you need to understand the job that you're taking in the new job. Otherwise, you're cooked. Okay, I've seen this play out in corporate America myself. If you go from a job where you know what you're doing into a new position that pays you a little bit more money, but you don't know what you're doing, you're screwed. And you're going to have to learn that job on the spot. You're going to have to learn how to do it. When we talk about this, when we talk about retirement like this, and really it's not so much retirement, it is transitioning of other people into other positions. I don't care that Doug Bowser is retiring. All he's ever done is things that I don't really like. So I don't care about Doug Bowser retiring. What I care about is the person who's taking his job. And if we start looking into her and the things that she has been responsible for, there are things there that are not very good. I invite you to go ahead and look into Pritchard. I think that's her name, Pritchard. Devin Pritchard. You look into Devin Pritchard on your own time. I don't have it prepared here. I didn't have this story ready, but I'm glad you brought it up, Billy Bob. The problem with corporate hopping is it's a different term. It's called executive hopping. And I want to do a video on this at some point, but it requires a lot more research. We see people at the executive branch of these companies jumping from company A to company B, and they have no fucking idea what company B is. Okay? They have no idea what the new company entails, what they're going to be doing, how their target market relates to the product, how they should go about addressing the buyers. Nothing. Example: the CEO of Cracker Barrel was previously the CEO of Taco Bell. And under the tenure at Taco Bell wasn't doing very good. That person executive hopped. Okay. We see this with Sarah Bond over at Xbox. where she has recently been caught investing in food companies and not investing. I shouldn't say that's not the right word. Not investing, but meeting with and involving herself in stake with. I believe the company was Tyson, and I could be wrong on that. I need to say this is what I mean. I need to pull up my actual facts before I make a video. So, wait a second. So Sarah Bond is Xbox, Microsoft, tech. It's tech. You know, hey, look, I got my own rogue ally right here. This is the rogue. I got my own rogue ally. It was, thank you. Thank you. It was Tyson Food. And see, I see people in the chat are getting really we'll talk about this in a second. Hang on to that thought. You're misunderstanding my point. You're stretching my point because I haven't made it yet. Sarah Bond, if she's looking into getting into Tyson Foods, well, those are completely different companies with completely different target markets. There's nothing similar about those two companies. Why should she jump from that company to the other? And she hasn't yet, but it seems like she could. And Xbox doesn't seem to be in the greatest spot right now either. But all right, let's answer this question. I'm sorry, CEO from one fast food brand to another? What the heck? Taco Bell. And leaving Taco Bell at the state that she left it and jumping to Cracker Barrel, those are still two very different companies. Those are two radically different companies. The person that's going to Taco Bell is not the same person that's on a road trip going to Cracker Barrel on their way to another place. Like, they're extremely different. Hang on one second.
America's got an inflammation problem. Did you know that 35% of all United States Americans suffer from chronic inflammation? And that's normally connected to their poor diet or lack of exercise. We have found that a really good solution to combating this chronic inflammation comes in the form of matcha. Yeah, matcha, the green tea. Matcha is considered to have some of the highest concentrations of antioxidants, which means it naturally will help your body fight inflammation. With just 2 grams of matcha each day, people have reported a decrease in inflammation, a decrease in free radicals, which are known to cause cancer, and an increase in relaxed focus. I would love some relaxed focus. In my line of work, I have to deal with Steve, and Steve is like the opposite of an antioxidant. The science here is based on over 1,000 years of trial and error, allowing R.W. Golden and myself, as a part of the company, to deliver you the highest quality, USDA-certified, organic, ceremonial-grade matcha available on the market. But I want you to see the benefits hands-on. Go to rwmatcha.com/wizard right now to save 10% on your order of a 50-gram tin. Thank you.
Whoops. Sorry, folks. A little technical difficulty over here. We're back. I think we're back. We should be back. I think everybody can hear me. That's fine. Yeah. We need to make a new one of those. We are going to make a new one of those soon. But yeah, hey, if you like the Fake Portal project, get our matcha. Get the Wizards Brew matcha because we are taking money from that and putting it towards Fake Portal. So thank you for that. All right, where was I? I was answering that. I got to pull it back up. Jesus Christ, the most professional stream, everybody. What a mess. I'm scrolling back up. I got to find that chat. Okay. Yeah, you guys were saying golden parachutes, but no, I'm not. Fuck it, I'm not pulling it up. All right. So the problem was, you talk about something like Cracker Barrel, and then going into from Taco Bell to Cracker Barrel. Those are two extremely different companies, two extremely different target markets, extremely different products, and she executive hopped from one to the other after leaving Taco Bell in a pretty bad state. So we jump over to Cracker Barrel, and now Cracker Barrel is in a pretty bad state. So there it is right there. Thank you. You've summarized exactly what I'm trying to say. She made Taco Bell soulless, then tried to make Cracker Barrel soulless. And that's what all of these corporate executives keep doing. They executive hop, right? They keep executive hopping. They're all this is bullshit, guys. Like, this is all such bullshit. You know what's really fun, and this is like, I started off the stream. I was already like kind of not thrilled because of the news that came in. Talking about that church that got attacked. Let's see. Has there been any changes on that at all? Because that's a pretty big one. Let's see. Anything new there? Oh, well, we got news from the president here. Let's take a look at that. And I'll make my next point. From Donald Trump, the president, I have been briefed on the horrendous shooting that took place at the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in Grand Blanc, Michigan. The FBI was immediately on scene and will be leading the federal investigation and providing full support to state and local officials. The suspect is dead, but there is still a lot to learn. This appears to be yet another targeted attack on Christians in the United States. The Trump administration will keep the public posted, as we always do. In the meantime, pray for the victims and their families. This epidemic of violence in our country must end immediately. So, we talked, like, I guess I did that video yesterday. It's really been sitting with me a while. I keep thinking about that, like, a lot. There has to be something that could be done. There has to be something to do. And it's not a matter of like, we need to fight back. Because fuck it. Everything we talk about is we need to fight back. We need to fight back. We need to fight back. We need to keep talking about it. We need to keep talking about it. There has to be a moment where it comes down to, no, we just need to start competing and be better than everybody else. We need to start improving our lives radically to start doing, so fuck it. I don't want to talk about Xbox anymore. I don't want to talk about, and I've said this before, like, I don't give a fuck. We talk about the Star Wars stuff. It's like, I want Disney to burn. I want the companies to burn. We look at the news media, and they've been lying to us and putting us up against each other. But we talk about the nitty-gritty bullshit, right? We talk about the nitty-gritty things. It's like, yes, executives are executive hopping from place to place, knowing nothing but making everything soulless and then blaming you when they fucking fail. They'll never take responsibility. They'll never take responsibility. No one ever takes responsibility. And unfortunately, we live in a world where there's just constant malevolence, and there's never going to be a winner. There's never going to be a victory. You know what I mean? There's never going to be a finish line. It is only ever going to continue getting crazier. It's only ever going to continue to get worse unless we start doing something about it internally. So I think that's what we're going to end up needing to do a little bit more, because even myself, like, one of the other stories I was going to talk about is this Fortnite emote takedown. And you know what? The truth is, I don't give a fuck. I don't care about Peacemaker. I don't care about Fortnite. I don't care about Epic Games. I don't care about James Gunn. And neither should you. You know why? Because it's bad for you. Because it's a waste of our fucking time. Because we're only here on this planet for a little while. And none of that fucking matters. James Gunn's an idiot. Superman was It was And then Peacemaker is just as bad as everything else was. So we waste our time with these things, and we shouldn't be wasting our time. We shouldn't be doing that. We should be doing other things and playing things that are fun. We should be engaging in stories that are exciting and inspiring. And I'm sick and fucking tired of every single day talking about all these nitty gritty little bullshit bad things when there's a lot left to, like, there's a lot more to do. There's a lot of work to be done. There's a lot of other things worth living for. So honestly, I think we've still got a lot going on, but we've been going on for a little bit here. We've been streaming for a bit here. Um, we talked about the Star Wars thing. We talked about the EA thing. I'm going to do more on that. Fox Dixon says, "Hey, Wizard, can we make you CEO for Disney?" And no. Actually, I would love that job. I would love that job. But you know what would happen? You know why? Here's why I wouldn't want that job. I'll leave us with this. I'll leave you all with this. Let's talk about that. Why wouldn't I want to take on any of those jobs? Because here's what's going to happen. I'm going to start saying, we're not taking your investment firm money. We're not taking any more BlackRock money. We're not taking any more State Street money. We're not taking any more Vanguard money. And we're going to start changing up the company on how things are done. But here's the reality of that. Even if Bob Iger was a good man, which I don't believe he is, even if he was a good man, it's he can't do anything because that company has been sold off to like people that have no desire for it to be good. It's been splintered out to business owners, to these investment bankers that have no desire for any kind of positivity to be invested into that company. There are people who don't want to see Disney get better. They want to see their fucking ideologies get spread out like a cancer across humanity. Like, that's what they really want. That's what we keep seeing. And unfortunately, even if I was made the CEO of Disney, I wouldn't be able to change anything because the company is owned by people more than just the CEO. The CEO can't actually do anything. The CEO takes orders from the investment bankers and the shareholders who happen to be investment bankers. So there's actually nothing we can do other than burn the fucker to the ground by not actually burning it to the ground. That is not a call for violence. Stop giving them your money and the company will fold. Here's an example of that now that we're on it. Let me go ahead and pull it up because I am like on fire now. This is Starbucks closing stores. Yes, here you go. Let's pull this up. Here, CNN, from CNN. Not that I read CNN, it's just the first one that happened to come up. Why Starbucks is closing hundreds of stores. New York, the days of Starbucks on every corner seems to be coming to an end. Yes, so if we go ahead and read into this one, this is actually fucking crazy. Starbucks forgot who they served, and they made things complicated, and they made some bad decisions. And they continued increasing their prices in an economic time when people just can't afford it, or the quality really isn't there. It really fucking isn't. Let's be real here. I've been to Starbucks all up and down the East Coast because I used to be like a heavy coffee drinker like that. And it's just not worth it, $8 when McDonald's has $1 coffee. You want that caffeine hit, you can get the $1 coffee from McDonald's if you desperately need it. So it doesn't matter. But why could Starbucks be fixed? Well, they spent a fortune. Starbucks recently, just a couple months ago, spent a fortune bringing in a CEO who, on his the basis of taking the job, refused to move to the company headquarters. So they had to spend even more money setting up a headquarters for him in California, where he's located. And I believe it's San Diego, but I could be wrong. But I definitely believe it was California. Okay. But he refused to move to their headquarters. Is anything happening? No, because now a few months after that, we're in here today where Starbucks is now closing hundreds of stores. The point I am trying to get to here is if you stop giving them money, they will fold. So Fox Dixon, great question. No, I wouldn't want to do that because I want the company to fall. I want all of these companies to fall. This is a great way to close this thing off. I want the companies to burn. I want them all to lose. I want them to fail. You know why? Because it sends a message across the world that we don't need some kind of bullshit change in economic reality, right? We don't need some socialist Marxist bullshit. That just means the government takes over and a bunch of the largest business owners own everything. That's what that really means. That's a whole separate conversation. No, the reality here is that if we stopped buying and all the mega companies fall, then when things go back to normal, and that's not to say it needs to take an entire event. All you really need to do is beat one of these companies at their own game. You stop buying with one company, you stop giving them your money, and then all of them are going to be like, oh shit, the buyers have gained sentience. The buyers aren't as stupid as we thought they were. And they'll all have to course correct, or they will all fall too. We have power in numbers that they want us to believe we don't have. And we spend all this time nitpicking and talking bullshit over Peacemaker doing a Yahtzee dance in Fortnite instead of saying, hey, Fortnite has been part of the reason the video game industry has turned to shit. Maybe we should stop playing Fortnite, and maybe we should figure out why children love this game so much. And perhaps there might be, and this is a completely separate thing I'm just coming up with now. Maybe there might actually be a reason to maybe not have our kids on Fortnite, because our kids, having been raised on Fortnite, are shooting up schools. So maybe there is something. Maybe there is something there. I don't know. Maybe it's worth asking. It's a question worth asking. I don't know. All of the children that I've like interacted with, most of them being the like family members, right? You know, or you're out at a function and there's the kids there and they're playing on the tablets and shit and they're playing Fortnite. How long do you like those kids? I usually hate those fucking kids. Those kids usually suck. They're not nice. They're nasty. They say nasty shit. They're not good. They're not good kids, you know? Yeah. Maybe this is bad for us, you know? Maybe this is not good for us. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. That was a long rant. That's why we tune in here. That's why we do this show. The Wizards Crash Out. I feel like I've delivered on what was promised, that I would be crashing out in some way. But all right. Let's see. Who else is streaming right now? Who else is streaming right now? Anybody we should anybody in mind we can raid? Oh, actually T3PO's on. That's what we're going to raid. We're going to raid T3PO today, everybody. My friends over there at oh, shout out to Mellow Rebel here for a 2. Says, let him cook, nay, let him brew. Wizards brew. Hell yeah, dude. Guys, this is fun. This has been pretty fun, pretty wild stream. We've been streaming with over 300 people here today on something that's like, you know, not the biggest, the most important topics, but we got a lot of stuff on the way. I'll be back with you on Tuesday evening. That's only in a couple days. We'll be streaming some games, and that'll be a lot of fun. So I will see you then. But until next time, create, innovate, inspire, and we will be over on T3PO. Let's go check them out. Guys, be well, be safe. Take care of your families. Take care of yourselves. It's a dark world out there. There's a bunch of sick bastards out there that we need to be vigilant of. So, goodbye.